Now to our top story at 5:30. Democratic State Representative Carrie Reingans of Ann Arbor has proposed a bill in the Michigan House to allow graduate student research assistants to unionize. It would also allow student athletes to do the same.
Representative Reingans said it is important to remember the value these student workers bring to their universities, and they should be compensated with more than just scholarship money.
So I think that anything that is labor that produces value for an institution or an employer should be compensated appropriately. And also the workers, in this case, students who also happen to be athletes, that they are protected in their working conditions. With collective bargaining rights, what you can bargain on are three things. You can bargain on your compensation, you can bargain on your working conditions, and you can bargain on your benefits.
And here to discuss the issue are the president and CEO of the Lee Group, Mark Lee, and former collegiate athlete and president of Rough House Management, Stanley Ruffin. Thank you both for joining us today.
Good to be here.
So, Mark, I'll start with you. I know that you are opposed to this proposal. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, I am opposed to it. These are student athletes. And I understand that they commit a lot of time and resources to certainly becoming an athlete as well, but the first and foremost is that they're students. I'm an educator as well. I teach at 3 different universities, and I think it's important that we give these kids an opportunity to continue their education, but they're not employees. They're not federal or state employees either. They are, quite frankly, students, and they're there to get an education. I understand they're athletes, so they want to get to the NBA, but not all of them are going to go to the NBA. So I oppose this legislation. I think it doesn't hold water with me.
Sure, and many people will argue the opposite, which is they bring value to the universities and their colleges, and they are profiting off these students. And Stanley, why are you in favor of this motion?
Well, I think you just said it. It's a profit, it's a compensation. These individuals have trained, some of them for decades. I mean, I used to work at a camp. Matter of fact, several camps, University of Michigan as well as Western Michigan. I saw parents drop those children off and pay large sums of money at 8, 9 years old, and they continued that throughout their high school years. So I feel like after a decade of that type of work, if they can be compensated, especially in lieu of all of the money that the colleges are making, that compensation is tremendously deserved, not just for the children, but for the parents who extended themselves to help the children to get to where they are.
Now, Stanley, what about the argument that they are being compensated with their education, with scholarships and other perks, as well as the NIL, the name, image, likeness legislation that has passed in recent years, allowing some athletes to profit massively?
Well, that's where I believe the unions will help, because you have to control the compensation that's going to be merited out or meted out to the different athletes. They're not at the same level. Some of them, you take the Fab Five, for instance. Look at the money that was generated by the Fab Five. You're talking shoes, you're talking about jerseys, you're talking about all of these various things that contribute to the overall budget of the football program or the sports program at large. The football program generates so much money. In fact, I have a number here. It says the Wolverines pocketed $46.9 million from media rights. Now, I'm not sure if that includes shoe sales or not, but $46.9 million just from ticket sales. They've got a $7 billion deal, media deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC Peacock worth at least $7 billion. There has to be compensation for those who contribute to that number.
There's over 500 student athletes around the country, but only about 1,000 of them are making any money. And some of them that are game changers can make millions of dollars as college athletes. But if you look at everyone else, Mark, why don't you believe that they should have an opportunity to make some money when, let's say, the guy next to you is making money?
I'm a former student athlete as well. And let me just, I'll be quite candid with you. I think that, again, I want to go back to the fact that these are students. Yes, they are getting scholarships. They now have access to the NIL. You're right, a lot of these individuals are not going to make it in the NFL. They're not going to make it at the next level. But the fact of the matter is, and yes, they are generating revenue for the university as well. But the bottom line, my concern is bottom line is this. If you start to allow these athletes to get involved in a union, what's going to happen? Hey, my working conditions are not correct. Right? I want a pay increase. The weather's too hot outside. I don't want to practice outside today. What happens if they go on strike? Right? What are they striking? Who are they challenging? The administration? This is a public institution, and these are athletes who have the opportunity. I respect them. I worked out a lot over the years, absolutely. But it was my choice to become a student athlete at the collegiate level, and I'm just opposed to the fact that unions will protect them.
Or is there anything that you do see, any potential upside to that representation being available to these athletes?
No, I think the representation is there. I think the NIL is a good first step, right? And I think it's incumbent upon the student athlete to have a strong collegiate career if they want to get to the next level. But once you isolate and segregate them and put them as part of the union, what about the normal student? What about the average student who doesn't have access to those same types of resources? So again, you're not necessarily balancing the playing field either.
Stanley, it took years and years and years for the NIL situation to transpire. Where do you think this will go with the potential of unionizing student athletes?
Well, I think it's going to be a tremendous impetus for unionizing athletes because the NIL, like Mr. Lee said, it's a starting point, but they have to be compensated for. They're contributing to monies that this university is using to enhance its status as a university. So I'm just thinking to myself, this NIL is something that is a precipice for unionizing. And unionizing, everybody uses that as a bad word, but it's almost like Congress. You know, you just can't walk out. You know, there are parameters to that. And I think if they put the right parameters around it, Congress is involved, which means legislation, which means laws. So if you put the right laws, it needs guidelines, but it should not be something that you just dismiss.
To Mark's point, what do you think would happen in the case of a strike that could have ripple effects across collegiate athletics across the country?
Well, when you start talking about striking, there are demands on one side or the other. I just think that those things can be talked out. We've had strikes in auto companies, and the companies still exist. So it's not like because you have a union, the work is going to stop and not continue.
The auto companies are employees. They are employees. They're representing certainly the work that they do on the plant, on the lines. They have the opportunity to go after management and challenge management. And these are students. These are student athletes. They're not employees. They're not state employees. These are students first.
I think that's titular. I think that's title only because they are students first, foremost. We never want to get away from the fact that they are student athletes.
Correct.
The emphasis should be on students, but they are employees in the sense that they're generating monies for a tremendous corporation.
You have other people who are also students. I know we run out of time. You have other people running who are students, but they don't have the same accessibility or access to the same resources.
Mark, Lee, and Stanley Ruffin, thank you so much for joining us. We could chat about this all day. We will, of course, keep following this legislation as it moves through Lansing. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.